Like I said, third best. Hello, everyone in the future from the past. This is the Dead Dodge Garage live Sunday boring Hemi special. Howdy, Noah and Stacy, and Lovejoy. Right on time as usual. Yeah. Dan is here. Hello, Dan. Scooter's here, and he says, "Damn it, I was watching VHS auctions, but I had to stop to say hi. I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. It really looks like you're on a tear collecting up them VHSs. Shit. Yes, you read that right. Online live VHS tape auctions. I don't even want to know. Hammies! Hey, Ross. Noah says, I'm playing Skyrim right now. Remember Skyrim? Oh, yeah, I remember. Never played Skyrim. There's something about taking an arrow to the knee. Barry Rooker's here. Hello from North Dakota. Hello, Barry from Washington State. My sister's here on time. That's weird. Lake with the green Jeep TJ says, what's up? What up, Lake? I know who Lake is. And I'm jealous of his TJ still. I want one. But they're too expensive. Mo Parley is here. Good evening, Mo Parley. How you doing? Is it weird to everyone else that it's like still light out? Just seems wrong. Huh. Stacy was playing Skyrim earlier this afternoon. I'll be damned. Never played it. I think I've mentioned I used to play World of Warcraft all the time, and I ran a private server for years. So I kind of got all the RPGing out of my system with that. Nowadays, I usually just hop onto Cold War, play a few rounds, get pissed off, and then turn the computer off. That's about the extent of my gaming these days. Jesus. Wait till you see it now. This is the TJ. He's putting a fuel cell in it as I type this, and he did long arms and 36 TSLs on beadlocks. Good Lord. Wow. All right, then. Seems excessive, but what do I know? Hey, I see 16 of you out there right now. I can't even say that right. I can't say anything right today. This is going to be bad. You should do the likey thingy on the stream. Let us know what you're drinking for the Dead Dodge Garage drinking game, as usual. And if you have any engine questions, nothing but engine videos this week. Haven't done any revivals or anything. Lake misses me. That's weird. Lovejoy says, I grew up on the river. If I could afford a heap, I'd have one. They're like gold here. A 90s Jeep still goes for like $4,000. Yeah, same here. Yep. A YJ is expensive. TJ's even more so. I mean, they're over 10. Square body Cherokees are getting up there too. Grand Cherokees are, well, they're not free anymore. I used to get them free all the time, but they're still, excuse me, usually reasonably priced. Excuse me again. Lovejoy also doesn't have time to game anymore. Yeah, I did music stuff yesterday, and then today I worked on mail trucks, and it's like I've barely seen my family. I certainly don't have time to waste on video games. But, that could change. Usually winter's the time when I stop doing things and start playing video games and recording music and stuff, but it just kind of never happened this year. Lovejoy again wants to know, do you know if my merch order shipped? I believe it did. It showed as, here, I'll just double check. I'm pretty sure it showed as fulfilled. Yeah. Yeah, it should. You should have it. Yeah, it should be coming to you. Also, I know I mentioned this, but you see the little exclamation next to your name? Well, you can't. Yeah, next to your name and only your name. Because it marked you for possible fraud. That's good stuff. Ross says, do the crossover steering on the TJ. Something tells me he is or has. That thing's pretty built. Dan says, how bad was the snow up there? In Olympia, it was several inches and freezing cold, ice rink, pretty bad. Out here, we got 2 inches. I'd say like a pretty solid 2 inches. It wasn't too horrible. You know, roads were crappy for like 4 hours. And that was on Thursday. Yeah, so I ended up staying here and lighting a fire in the shop and kind of digging into some projects there, but it wasn't too bad. It snowed again last night, but it didn't really stick to the road or anything. Well, it did for a bit there. It's weird. It like the sun came out and then it was hailing. It's hailed heavily off and on like 3 times. Yeah. Welcome to winter in the Northwest. Stacy says, got an iceberg beer from Newfoundland. Yeah. As usual, I'm drinking the Bare Naked because it's what they had. Wiggy's here and says, howdy all. Good to see everybody. Good to see you, Wiggy. Thanks for wearing my t-shirt. Glad you could make it. All Praise is here as well and says, greetings from waterlogged and snow-covered California. Yeah, I saw some things earlier. In fact, Freiberger shared something. A big-ass tree just fell out of the waterlogged ground and smashed like a 2021 Ram pickup. I know there's all kinds of crazy crap going on there. Soaking wet ground and, intermittent snow is normal around here this time of year. So, yeah, totally different down there. I know that. Anyway, All Praise says, I watched the 451 stroker video twice. Awesome. I'm so jealous. I'm greener than the Grinch. Nice. Yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm jealous too, because obviously I get to build it and test it. But, it's not mine, so I don't get to keep it and enjoy it. But I am very eager to see if it works out as well as I think. It's going to be pretty cool. Excuse me. I'm just full of burps. I don't know what the deal is. It's not a problem until I get on camera and then burps. 22 out there, feel free to like the stream for me because it does stuff for the YouTube algorithm. And say hi if you haven't. Let us know what you're drinking and what you think about stroker big blocks and 3rd gen Hemi swaps. Greg Loy asks, are Edelbrock cylinder heads worth the cost? In my experience, Greg, yes. I've had 2 sets of them, small block only. I've never had a set of big block ones. But both of the engines I've had with the Edelbrock heads were magnificent. Just sweet. I know you need to have them at least glanced at by a machinist. I've heard of them shipping with aluminum shavings in them. I've heard of things just not being very good. I've heard of valve guide tolerances maybe being tight, things of that nature. So you want to have them checked over, which is unfortunate for something that costs as much as it does. But other than that, yes. Now, I'll tell you this. If you're doing a big block, those 440 source heads that we're putting on that 451 stroker, they look incredible. And I'm not doing like apples to apples comparison with a big block Edelbrock head, but they look to be very similar. Aluminum construction, humongous valves, nice looking ports, closed chambers, but they cost much less. Same thing applies. You want to have them gone through. But for the money, those 440 source heads look amazing. And you are putting together a big block, aren't you? for that satellite, isn't it? So yeah, take a close look at the 440 source heads. We paid $600 a piece for them. Like, I looked at them and went, how? Because Edelbrock, I don't know what Edelbrock even costs now. I seem to recall they were around $2,000 for a set. So sounds like a good deal. Yes, Lovejoy, I hope it does. If it doesn't, there should be tracking information. That was weird. Huh. That wasn't my daughter this time. It just turned off. Anyway, hopefully it turns up, but there's a tracking number, so you can always check it. Adam hopped off to go back to vintage VHS auctions online. Noah says, Jamie, I'm working as a diesel mechanic on equipment and Class 8 trucks and such. It sucks. Well, maybe it doesn't suck, but I don't love it. Got an interview at a Dodge dealership. Yay? Nay? No, I don't know. I had the dealership here in the back of my mind as a backup plan for years. And especially since, 2020, they're hiring. I could have gotten a job there like that. I probably could have asked quite a bit, given my experience and knowledge and such. But everyone I know that works there doesn't like it. Now, that doesn't mean every dealership is like that. But the one here, it's also Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Lincoln, Ford. So, but having said that, yeah, I don't know. Talk to the people that work there. Are they happy, or do they all clock out at 5 and go to the nearest bar to unwind? I will say dealership techs are usually flat rate. So no, I don't know. I don't know what kind of wrencher you are. It pays to be fast and good. If you can't do things fast, and if you're not a self-starter type, flat rate might not be what you want. So, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you. Hopefully your dealership atmosphere is a little bit better than mine. Might be good, And if you're good and they send you off for dealer training and factory training, you get learned, you get paid. Could be a good thing for you. But you're going to be working on newer Dodges, and that doesn't really sound like fun to me. Could be worse. Rooster's here and says, greetings, Earthlings. He hath descended. Dan is here as well. Hey, Dan, how you doing? Our Hill arrived a few minutes ago. Hello, Our Hill. How you doing today? Ross says water, but I'm not sure why. Oh, Sway's drinking. Yeah. Good. Very good. And it's funny because Adam said Busch Light, so he's pretty much drinking water too. Dave is here. What up, Doc? Lovejoy forgot to go to the liquor store again. I feel like I saw someone. No, nobody said anything about Prudence, but I'm thinking about it. I was working on mail trucks today, and when I was picking up the third set of keys, I realized they had a Prudence on their desk there. That was really exciting for me. Theirs is cleaner than mine. Dan Berg's drinking an ice cold Pepsi. Very nice. That's what I drank last night when I was playing. Ice cold Pepsi. And the gal I play with was like, don't you drink beers? Sure. But let's just say when it was over, I wanted to go home. Kind of a dead night. Ross says, on strokers, what's the recipe for $4.99? I don't know that one. I'm not familiar with that size. 451's the common 440 stroke and 400 block, and I think it's 30 over. Technically, ours is like a 456, something like that. I'd have to do the actual calculation because it's 42 over instead of 30 over. 451, I believe, is a 30 over 400 with the 440 crank. I know 440, there are a bunch of different strokes you can put into a 440 to get either 471, maybe 499 is another one of those, and then 512, and then it just keeps going from there. 512 is kind of the common 440 size, I think. Ken wants to know, Sabbath or Motorhead? Definitely Sabbath. I never got into Motorhead. I did spend quite a bit of time on Sabbath, especially Paranoid. Paranoid is the album, the whole album. My acoustic's not here. I left all my gear where that show was. Did I mention it was a slow night? I wanted to go home. Stacy says, "Oh, pissed off ghost. Yeah, there's something bad going on here. I don't know what's going on." Mr. PF Flyer has input on dealership jobs, so I thought I'd bring that up. Despite the pressure to perform at least 35 labor hours each week while getting warranty time, think of this. You'd be working one manufacturer and any of the tools you need are in the shop. Yeah. There are definitely pluses there. And I know there's pressure. I mean, any production shop is going to have that to a certain degree, but yeah, there are definitely pluses for going to a dealer instead of like an independent repair facility. I could see it. Noah, whatever you do, don't start your own shop. Don't do that. I've learned. You can learn from my mistakes. Greg wants to know, what was the deciding factor on 400 versus 440 stroker build? Did the car come with the 400? Yes, the 400 was the original block. I thought I explained that. The problem is I remember like everything I've ever said on video, but I don't remember which video is which. I've done like approaching 200 of them and they all blend together. So I can never remember little things like that. So I thought I said in the video that it was the original 400 block for the Charger, but I must not have, because someone else dropped into the comments to ask me why I didn't just do a 440 and offset grind the crank to get 471. Well, first off, that sounds like way too much work. And second off, it's the original 400. So that is why we're doing that. Also, Greg, you may know this. The 451 is a very common big block Mopar build. If you want to make a bunch of power, you get the short deck, so you do save a little weight. It's more compact. It's easier to work on measurably. I mean, that much of the block moving the heads out farther really, really cramps you for doing spark plugs and stuff. In fact, in that Charger, even with the low deck motor, they cut out part of one of the inner fender wells to get to the plugs under the steering. So a 440 is just even worse. So there are advantages to a 400, to the short deck block beyond just it's the original one. Right, factory tools. Yeah. Will your wife murder me if I pop over for a bit? Yeah, probably. Or a dog will. We've had a long weekend, and as soon as I'm done here, it's relaxing time. So you just stay where you are. Rooster says, Jamie, speaking of Hemi swaps, I found out the guy that bought my cousin's 70 Challenger is going 392 resto mod. I spoke up and said I'd buy the 3 to 3 and 4-speed. Damn right. Yeah, of course you will. It's a great setup. Interesting. Yeah. You may or may not have seen the post. I know like last time you didn't see it until I was already live or until after. But we got the drivetrain dropped out of the 71 and the owner was there helping me, actually. He just wanted to be there when the drivetrain came out and kind of lend a hand, which was cool. He was good help, you know, and you wouldn't expect that out of every owner. So it was cool. He's a good dude, and he bought me a burrito for lunch. So anyway, yeah. So we got the Magnum and the K-frame down and the 6-speed down on the cart to roll out. And then we rolled it out, and then I turn and I look at the 392 that we had to set right next to the car, and I was like, dude, we're rolling it in there. So we rolled it in there. We dropped the car down around it, like, super cool. Just kind of made it all seem real. So pretty cool. Honcho's house is here and says, yay, showtime. Sipping on some fancy beer called, I want to say, Hogarden. Funny name, refreshing citrusy taste. Ever de-stroked a motor before? Yield any actual benefits and such? No, I haven't. And the amount of work to do that in any of the engines that I play with, I mean, there's no factory de-stroked crank that you can put in like a 360. You can do that. Same with the 318, 340, 273. They're all the same stroke. So it's not really easy in Mopar world. I know there were shorter stroke engines for racing purposes where they had to meet certain class rules, cubic inch rules. But no, I haven't done it. I've heard and read some about that. But no, nothing I've ever done. Rooster wants his own prudence. Well, yeah, that says Dead Dodge Garage on it. Because you can just order the Screaming Goat toy. I mean, you are legally allowed to do that. Garrett Weston asks, any advice for using a multimeter to test O2 circuits? Still trying to solve my heater circuit high voltage problem. Oh, yeah. That's that Dakota truck, isn't it? With 4 of them? No, I wouldn't do it with a multimeter. I would look at the live data, and I don't know if you've done that. I'm sure you have. I wish I was closer so I could just look at the damn thing. The problem is they're narrow band O2 sensors, and so the readings are going to jump around, and you really have to look at them all in the computer. And the problem there, yet another problem there, is they don't really look like anything. They're going 0.2, 0.9, 0.8, 0.3, 0.9, 0.3, 0.9, 0.2, 0.1, 0.8, and the computer is averaging out between those highs and lows. What I've done in the past is looked at all 4 of them, graphed them all together, and seen, this one's obviously screwy, or the range on it's obviously wrong, or what have you. But yeah, I wouldn't do it with a multimeter. You're just not going to have fun trying to read O2s with a multimeter. You're going to want to use the live data in your scanner. And even then it might not do you much good. Sorry, I know we've talked about this several times. I wish I had better advice. I know I've given you some, and none of it's really been helpful. I know you've got all new sensors. I don't really know where to point you. If it was here next to me, I could at least look at your particular codes, look at your data stream, check a couple things. You should hook a scanner to this thing. You've got a high voltage code and a heater circuit code. I wonder if 2 of the wires are flipped. Now, you didn't get universal O2 sensors, right? You didn't get the kind that you have to wire. You got the kind that just plug in. So I wonder if your wires are flipped on the truck harness side of things. Your heater feed and your output feed are flipped, but it's connected up normally, so how would you ever know? If you did those universal sensors where you wire them, it's wired wrong. If they're plugins, I think your harness on the truck side is messed up. And you bought it this way, didn't you? Wonder if someone, for whatever reason, pulled it apart and put it back together with the wires flipped. My email is jamienoise@gmail.com. If you have access to a scanner with graphing capabilities, ideally, get a picture of what the O2 voltages are, all of them, bank 1, bank 2, front, rear, and email that to me. Take a picture of it. Maybe I can help. Lovejoy says, I dug through my scrap pipe pile, couldn't find anything bigger than 8-inch. I was going to ask Lovejoy, but I also kind of figured I'd let it go. You're a busy guy. I'll have to keep digging. I know I have some somewhere. Well, if you find one, let me know. Literally the only Motorhead song I know. Although, what was that song that that metal band Dave Grohl put together? Shit. I can't remember what it's called, but Lemmy did a song with them that's really, really good. Whorehouse Blues. See, I don't know that one. That literally Ace of Spades is all I know. I just never got into Motorhead. You're worthy. You're worthy. Stand up. Yeah. Yeah. Ken's got it. Dan. Dan wants to know, you're always talking about your shop. Why did you close it? I actually did a video on that. So if you're curious for more details, you can go watch that. It's shit. What is it called? How to run an unsuccessful but popular automotive repair shop, I think is what I called it. And that was back in July when I closed it. But I'll give you the Cliff Notes. Is that what that's called? I'll give you the short version. I wasn't a good businessman, and it was a three-way partnership with my brother and another guy, and neither are they. We kind of screwed ourselves early, spending all our riches on tools. And when you see my toolbox video, you'll be like, oh, okay. Things make sense. Mistakes were made. We just weren't good at the financial end of things. We were pretty good at fixing cars, and we were really good at being friendly and fair on prices with people. And that last part, plus really good at spending money, they didn't quite work out. Yeah, so kind of knew for a long time I needed to get out from under that. The energy was not there on anyone's part, really. Mostly on mine, but not 100%. And yeah, once I bought this house with the shop, I knew right away, this is what I'm doing. This is going to be my future. So I just kind of had to bridge that gap. I had to get the shop workable. And then I kind of fell into the rocket job as well. So it all made sense. Okay, I can close the shop. I'm going to do this, and everything's going to be fine. Because for a long time there, I was like, well, I know I need to get out of this because I'm many, many thousands in the hole. But like, how do I do that and not go bankrupt? So yeah, it was a bit of a thing. But anyway, I closed it because it was too much stress and nowhere near enough money. And I can do the same exact jobs here at home and pocket every dollar. Big difference. And my time is kind of free to do what I want. So there you go. Lots and lots of good reasons, Dan. I had a lot of happy customers, a little bit of a bummer for them, but fixed everything wrong with my life for the most part. So no, it's still a no. Maybe next week. It's been a bit. Jack Bruck is here and says, I don't know if an Olds Tornado is a Mopar. No, it is not. That is a GM product. Oldsmobile. But I'm getting a 66 Tornado. It's front-wheel drive. Can I manual swap it like a rear-wheel drive? You will find that the transaxle, transdiff, whatever you want to call it, the transmission that then has CV axles, or well, they're probably not CVs, they're probably U-joint axles. I don't know Tornado that well. No, I don't think there's any manual version of it. I do believe it is automatic only. If you want a car with a manual transmission, maybe sell the Tornado and get something different. They're funky. They're interesting, but they're not really, I don't know. They're kind of weird as muscle era cars go. Special squirrel stuff. So no, I don't think I do not believe, I could be wrong, but I do not believe a manual transmission that will fit in that exists anywhere. Eric Wilson says, hey, Jamie, not to change the subject. Feel free to change the subject anytime you like. In fact, there are 45 of you out there, and you can feel free to comment with questions about Hemis or amplifiers or whatever you like, and I'll answer. And let us know what you're drinking and what you're working on this weekend. Anyway, Eric Wilson is just wondering, what's your favorite amplifier? All of my big ones are not here right now. Well, one is, actually. I think my favorite amplifier is this. My Fender Champ 1970. I pick a different year every time I say, because I actually don't remember. I think it's 76. Might be 78 though. It's small but mighty. Over there, nope, that was wrong. Behind me, right there, that is my 1966, 1965 Silvertone 1484 Twin 12. That was an amplifier that was sold at Sears in the 60s, and it's cool. That head fits into the back of the matching cabinet, which is at the venue we were playing at last night right now. And they were actually hardwired together. You throw the head in the back of the cab and carry it to your buddy's garage. Kind of neat. Mine aren't hardwired anymore. Many of them are not. I think the Silvertone is probably my favorite, like, not tiny amp. The Champ's been with me for a long time, and I love the sound. In fact, if you watched the ranch video, all the Mopars on my friend's ranch, that intro slide guitar part that I played that a lot of people were kind of excited about, that's a cover song from the Cowboy Bebop soundtrack, I recorded it with the Champ, and I was listening back to it and just going, so good. So anyway, but I really like many vintage Fender tube amps also. So I have two Bassman heads I use. I have a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe right here that's currently broken. Really like Fender tube amps and Silvertones. But basically, if it's got tubes in it, it's probably cool. I like Vox stuff too. I've just never bought one. I don't know why. Never have. My friend Mitch is here and says, hey, how you doing, Mitch? How's that dart? I have not put the video out yet on Mitch's dart. It was the green 66 dart that was in the shop for like 3 or 4 months. It was in the background of a ton of videos. I got many questions about it. I finally got it done and back to him, and I made an entire video, and I haven't released it. I don't know why. In fact, I thought about releasing it today, but I haven't even started editing it yet. So yeah, there was no video today because I didn't have one ready. I had to play a show last night. I had to do mail trucks today, and it was just like, no, this isn't happening. This is not happening. Arhel had the answer there for Jack. Jack, with a welder, a cutting torch, a grinder, and some sheet metal, etc., all things are possible. You could take that body off. I'm assuming it's body on frame, similar to all the other GM cars of that time. You could probably take that body off and put it on a rear-wheel drive chassis. But I don't know how difficult that would be. If there's no transmission tunnel, that's going to be a problem. Again, I'm not a GM guy. I don't know Toronado that well, but I know it's special, bespoke Toronado stuff. I bet you could do a chassis swap. Garrett and Mr. PFI were both thinking the same thing, and I'm wondering what the same thing was. Huh. What was the same thing? Someone tell me what the same thing was. I'll scroll back down in a minute to check. Banana is back with us again. Hey, Banana, how you doing? He says, hello again. How's your charger? Any new rust? Yeah, I'm sure there is. Rust never sleeps. Probot. Thank you, Dave. Yes, Probot. But what's the song that everyone else pitching in with the rest of Dave Grohl's bands? Probot was the metal project, and Lemmy did at least one with him. Well, yeah, now I got to look it up. Or I'm going to wonder forever. Shake Your Blood. Yeah. This is... It's good stuff. probably get like nuked for copyright infringement for playing that. But anyway, yeah, Probot. Shake Your Blood by Probot is a fantastic piece of music with Lemmy at the front. Everyone else pitched in with all of Dave Grohl's other bands, which is awesome. He did obviously play with Quotza, Queens of the Stone Age for a time. I was listening to them today. That album, in fact, Songs for the Deaf. You can't even hear it. And XLMI pitched in Them Crooked Vultures, which is fantastic. Also, Dave Grohl on the drums there. I don't know if I can actually play any Vultures songs, but I really, really like them. Been waiting with bated breath for the second Them Crooked Vultures album for many years. Wiggy saw Sabbath in 77 in Denver at McNichols Arena. Great show. Yeah, I'm sure it was. That's awesome. Garrett. Okay. Yes, it has been reattached. Cats were stolen. You're the best. Thanks for taking your time to help. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of that before. That's exactly what it is. Is it just on the one sensor that you have those codes? What it is your heater circuit, your heater power circuit, and your signal return circuit, oxygen sensor signal return to the PCM circuit, are flipped. So the heater voltage is going here, and the signal voltage is getting, it's messed up. You need to fix those wires. That's what it is. What you probably want to do is look up color code chart for your oxygen sensor. Usually they're black, white, gray. White is signal, gray is heater, and both blacks are grounds. The grounds are interchangeable, doesn't matter. And then look up the wiring color codes for the truck for that sensor, which you can usually find on AutoZone. They at least have the PCM ones. Or look up, yeah, you're just going to need a wiring diagram. Or go compare it to the other side. Like, hopefully it becomes self-evident. But yeah, those wires are flipped. That's what it is. But if you want to email me anyway, I can at least tell you, I could try and find some more information. It's Jamie Noise, JAMIENOISE @gmail.com. Rooster says a guitar without an amp is so wrong. It's like putting a Chevy motor in a Mopar. You know, I play acoustic occasionally when I don't want to annoy people. The band I'm playing with currently is a cover band, and they have me doing an Old Crow Medicine Show song. So I actually took my acoustic with a pickup in it to the show last night, and played it. The funny thing is, with the pickup that's in there, it doesn't even sound like an acoustic guitar. So what was the point? Stacy says, what size pipe did you need for the console? I live in irrigation country and could probably get you something that would work. I'll use my company's Purolator or DHL account to get it to you. Nice. 10-inch smooth plastic, ideally, or whatever. And I sent the dimension to Lovejoy. I think it's 5 feet. I think I need like exactly 5 feet of it. You bet, Garrett. I forgot the details about the cats were stolen, and it's all, yeah, obviously that's what it is. Makes perfect sense. Rooster says he met Ozzy, and that dude is batshit crazy normally. That makes perfect sense. Greg Loy wants to know 5-speed, 6-speed, big block transmission suggestions. I have never done this, so I can't say what you want. But I know your options are pretty much TKO, T56, 6-speed, TKO being a 5-speed. Something that says Tremec on it is what you want. I don't know who has kits. Silver Sport probably does. The 6-speed in that Challenger, the 71, we're doing the Hemi swap on, 392 swap. That is a T56, Tremec T56. But that's a small block bell housing. So I'm assuming they have one for big block, but I don't know. I've never seen it, never done it. The T56 seems pretty cool. Or what's the other one? The new 5-speed, TKX. It's like lighter than a TKO, but it's stronger or something. And maybe it's smaller or something. Maybe look into that, TKX. But I've never gotten my hands on one of those yet. Dan, yes, I did. It said specifically 273 on it. So I'm assuming it has the funky bolt angle, and that's what I don't want. I did already buy a tunnel ram. I wanted to do the regular dual quad intake that would fit under the hood, but I already bought the ticket, so I guess I'm going to take a ride and probably just cut a hole in the hood of the Barracuda, which is unfortunate because then I need to like put it inside, and I really don't have a lot of inside storage, which is why I didn't want to do it. But, you know, it is what it is. I've also entertained thoughts of still looking for a shorter dual quad and taking the hood off of the Demon and putting the tunnel ram on that. But, nah. My sister says she'll hold on to a couple ciders for next week. Very good. Oh, our Hill is drinking vodka with the cherry lime tonic. Oh, yeah. Noah says, people watching the live is growing. Going to be 1,000 people in no time. Yeah, last week's live was the most viewed live so far. Live, I mean, at the time it was live. There were the most people. Whatever. Anyway, yeah. And they usually get up to like, they don't get a ton of views after the fact. Some people do go back and watch them. I like to listen to them just to figure out all the wrong things I said. Make sure I drank enough times. But yeah, I don't know. No, we'll see. I just happened to see Uncle Tony's live before I popped in here, and he had 486 people. So his are 10 times as big as mine. That's interesting because his channel is a lot more than 10 times the size of mine. Anyway, pretty cool. Brian McD says, good evening from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Good evening, Brian. My very good friend Drew is from Saskatoon. I still don't know where that is specifically. Well, it's in Saskatchewan, of course. Hope you're doing all right up there. I bet it's cold as balls, as indicated by the little freezy face. Yep. Eric Wilson says, that's really cool. I love the tubes also. I've been into building amps for a while now, mostly because I can't afford the actual vintage ones. Man, I barely can either. The ones I have, I've had for years. I've never built a tube amp. I used to monkey with things. I'd make modifications. So the Champ, I changed out the grill cloth because the original was like cigarette smoking, super, super gross. I changed the light to blue, so I'm pretty much an amp builder. You see that? Yeah, I'm pretty much it. Anyway, I put the supersonic grill cloth on it because I used a bunch. I had a bunch of it. I used it for my my old Hot Rod Deluxe. That's what it was. And it says Champlifier. But I did the, where is it? There it is. I did the tone circuit delete and the negative feedback loop delete. The switches are both broken. So I think they're both just off forever. So it's in modded mode forever. I did have it set up so you could put it back to stock, but it sounded so much better with the tone stack out. So I'm happy I did that. Also made it louder, which is interesting. But anyway, I am not an amp builder. I used to think I was, but nah. I've never built any pedals or anything either. I've tinkered with things and I've repaired amps. I've done a lot of guitar repair, but yeah. I should build a tube amp someday. That would be cool. Ross says, someone built a 4x4 Toronado for exhibition back in the day. Hurst? Wow. Very cool. Songs for the Deaf is a killer record. Damn right it is. Yeah. I'm sure Lovejoy will find me some eventually. It's not like I'm in a hurry or anything, guys. I think I said in the last video, what I am going to try to do is wrap up brakes, wheels, tires, steering, exhaust, lights, and actually like drive it a few times before I really do anything else with the interior. That would be the smart thing to do. Dan, on merch, it can vary a lot. I just saw your order on here too. Yours is still in progress. Usually it'll take them 3 to 5 days to process and then another 5 to ship, something like that. So the ones I've done, they came in about a week to week and a half seems to be pretty standard. Oh, which brings me to this, I suppose. If you're somehow in the live and you don't know, we do have Dead Dodge Garage merch available. You can go to deaddodgegarage.com and click merch. Also, I've been teasing a new shirt design for a couple weeks now. Fitz has been busy. We just need to kind of like bonk heads on the final touches and hitting the go button. So our new shirt is not up yet. It's pretty cool. You're going to like it. The logo shirt is up there. The new shirt is a totally different design, and then it has the logo on the back. And it's pretty cool. And we're going to be doing a lot of designs like that. We have many in progress. This is just the next one. So, yeah, it is unfortunately going to cost a little bit more. And I'll just tell you guys now, all the logo stuff, we're not making any money on it. We were going to make a little bit here and there, but then by the time you do card fees and then processing, and it's just, and oh yeah, subscription fees to these services, yeah, pretty much not making anything. So feel free to buy it anyway, because I want to get it out there. As we move forward, things are going to have to be a little bit more expensive. I'm going to try and keep them as reasonable as possible, but they will get more expensive. So, anywho, Dan, you can expect to see it, and I'm going to say about a week. Lovejoy says, the reason I have so much 6 and 8 inch is because we used to run that until we got the new well. We were running so much pressure, it was blowing pipe apart, so we switched to 10. Wow. Brian McDeep sent $2.79 Canadian, I believe, for a super sticker. And for some reason, I can't actually see what it is because I'm not on YouTube proper. Oh, I can't. That's a coffee cup that says tired on it. Yeah, I could use one of those. Banana's back for one last question. That's fine. You can ask as many as you like. I see almost 40 people out there. Ooh, which reminds me, I should check. How many of you have liked the stream? 30 people. All right, not bad. Not bad. But if you haven't done it, you should. Anyway, Banana says, I'm back for one last question. What would you do with your dream Mopar? Drive it. I already got my dream Mopar, and it's pretty much what I wanted. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I had some bad thoughts. The moment I got the 392 rolled under the 71 Challenger, which is red also, I looked at it and went, man, this is cool. Man, I have a 5.7 that I just need to fix sitting in my shop right now. Man, the Terminator X setup's about $1,800. Oh, I could hook it to a 727, or I could just go grab a 4.6 RE. Oh, wait, I have one. So I just need to fix that, which I can get done for like under $1,000. So then I need conversion mounts and exhaust, and I could just have a Hemi swapped overdrive charger. It's a cool idea. But yeah, my dream Mopar is my red 68 Charger. I already bought it. So my dreams are a little different these days because I already kind of checked that one off. I just want to enjoy it. But I would like to get better gas mileage. And I know that's dumb because it's a muscle car. But I want to drive it every day, everywhere. And when I was driving it on the hour each way commute to Rocket, it was costing me $40 a day. And that kind of hurts. Now, you could buy a lot of gas for what that Hemi swap would cost. So, we'll see. When I drive that Challenger when it's done, that'll be the moment where I'm like, I need this in my life, or, yeah, my 383 is fine. I really never had any intentions of hot rodding it or doing anything crazy like that. I did tease putting a Hemi block in it, mostly for attention. I'm a YouTuber. That's what I'm supposed to do. But I wasn't ever really going to do it. I kind of wanted to, but too much money. Sounds good, Garrett. I will be looking for your email. I see every email that comes. Oh, the chunk of pipe I needed was exactly 4 feet, not inches, 4 feet. Okay. Rooster means if I'm going to play my electric guitar, plug it in. And if I'm going to play my electric guitar, plug it in. Excuse me. Yeah, but I don't have my pedals. Yeah. It would just be clean Metallica. I do keep playing the For Whom the Bell Tolls intro on the bass for some reason, but I don't have a bass handy either. On 273, only the 64 to early 65s have the funky bolt angle. Mid 65 up have regular bolt angle. Yes, I know that. My concern is because those intakes specifically say 273 on them, why would they say that if it didn't have that different bolt pattern? I'm thinking that Offie intake was designed for the early 273. Otherwise, it would say 273, 318, 340, 360. Or smaller ports, at least it would say 273, 318. It says 273. Why would they say that if it has the regular bolt angle? That's my question. And that's been this whole time, since you and I were first talking about that. That's what I've been thinking. These ones that say 273, they must have the 273 bolt angle, right? Does the Offie that's for sale new today, they are still for sale on Summit, is that one the funky 273 bolt angle? And it's not like that's the end of the world. Like I could just oval the holes. It would be fine. But if I'm going to pay all that money, I'd kind of rather not have to. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my thinking. If it says 273 on it, that must mean it's specific to the unique 273 pattern. Maybe. Stacy says, the video on the 4.7 was interesting. The video on the 4.7 was my own personal hell. Anyway, my kid has a 99 Grand Cherokee with one, waiting for the day it shits the bed. Yeah, my younger brother had a Dakota with a 4.7. He ran it out of oil, and it did this cool thing where on the passenger side head, all of the rocker arms for the intake valves, shot out because the tappets, the lash adjusters, ran out of oil and squished. It still ran on the driver's side, but the passenger side, they shot out. The weird thing was compression check was pretty normal. It was at least close. So that's interesting. Anyway, 4.7s are bad. They're just bad. Watch for coolant leaks. I mean, as long as you keep coolant in it and it doesn't overheat, it could last a long, long time. And people tell me in the comments, oh, mine made it to 300,000. Oh, my coworker's got one with 3.9 million miles. Well, cool. Yeah, I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm not saying there aren't okay ones. But, I think every 4.7 rig I've ever seen was screwed up. So, my point. Anyway, yeah, good luck with that. Wiggy says, I build tube amps, but stereo hi-fi, not guitar. Okay, that's cool. I'd like to get into hi-fi stuff too. Is it weird that, I produce music here? I'm in my studio right now. My studio monitors are here. I've got, condenser microphones, albeit, cheapo ones I bought off Musician's Friend over a decade ago, just sitting around. I've got well-used SM57. I have nice stuff. Nice. I have professional sound equipment. I've been in music production for 15, 16 years. That's bad math. I've been recording myself at home for 20 years. I've been multi-tracking for probably 18. Is it weird that I usually just listen to music on my phone speaker or in a car, and I don't have or on the crappy record player in the living room, and I don't have a nice hi-fi system? Never have. I don't know what that's about. You'd think I'd be a nerd for that kind of thing, but no. Rooster says, my phone says I spend 20 hours a week on the boob tube and 4 hours are on your channel. Wow. Yeah, that sounds about right. You're committed. Eric says, I really wanted to get back into building myself a hot rod. Soon I will be, if my plan goes correctly. Awesome. Have fun with that. Banana says, you should hot rod a Chrysler Fifth Avenue. That would be rad. That's funny. Someone brought them up in comments recently, or maybe it was a live. I can't remember. Just talking about those. And as I understand, they're nice riding, nice driving cars. Comfy and all that. And if I get my hands on one, I will. The thing, I don't know if people realize this. Like, people tell me all the time I should do this car or that car. The way I acquire cars is a little funky. I've mentioned crimes of opportunity on video, like my Fastback Daily Driver project. I wouldn't have done it. I said no to it twice. I said no to that car twice, but Tom bought it anyway. And then it was on the trailer and I needed to borrow the trailer. And I was looking at the car going, okay, fine. And I pressure washed it and went, okay, all right. And then he said, well, there's a parts car, so we'll get more of the stuff that's missing. And I went, okay, fine. And I had to force myself to drop the drivetrain in it ASAP to get video done and to move the project forward, because otherwise it would just take forever, and I don't want that. That Volare out there, I didn't go looking for that. I bought it because a friend of mine messaged me 2 pictures of it and said, would you like this for very cheap? And I said, yes. I have another project coming soon, which isn't a Mopar, but it is really cool. And I'm taking that on because I found it at the place where that Volare was, and it's amazing. And the price is right. It's a cool deal. It's a neat truck. More on that later. But it's there. It's easy for me to grab. I don't go looking for stuff. I try to stay off of Facebook Marketplace. Sometimes I get on there and I see something that's like, oh, great, I just have to have this. Sometimes my friend Josh just drops things off. Anyway, I don't really pick the cars. I take them as they come. The farther away they are from here, the less likely I am to go grab them, which is like someone emailed me and was in the live last week reminding me about this super cool 79 Chrysler 300. And that's awesome. But it's some hours away from here. It is in Washington, but it's a ways away from here. And it's a little more money than I want to spend on something that isn't really what I want. So unfortunately, I probably just won't do it. Anyway, so I can't promise I'll get my hands on a Fifth Avenue, but if I do, I'll put a rowdy small walk in it probably. Ross, dream Mopar. Chrysler Fifth Avenue? My dream Mopar is the 68 Charger. Banana says the thirsty V8s are part of the 68 Charger experience, and I totally agree. And I really like the car how it is. Like it's really good. Yeah, the fuel economy is not amazing. It's a Charger. It's not supposed to be, you know. Classic car with good fuel economy is the whole point of that 67 Barracuda I was just talking about. And I don't need 2 of those or 4 of them, really. The one cool thing I'll say about that Challenger we're doing the Hemi in, he already got 22 miles a gallon with the Magnum. Pretty sure with fuel-injected Hemi, he's going to be mid-20s at least. 6-speed, double overdrive. It's got 410s in the back, and he still gets in the 20s with that double overdrive. It's got 4-wheel disc brakes. It's got subframe connectors, sway bars, tubular A-arms. It's got all of the stuff. It's also got a complete factory restored interior with all of the soundproofing. And now it's going to have 500 horsepower. So it's like, it's all things. He could go down a drag strip if he wanted, although he might break the 8 3/4. He can drive it across the country, no problem. He can do big smoky burnouts, no problem. He can do handling course stuff, no problem. He can go up and down mountains. It'll stop going back down the other side. It's truly a classic car that looks like a classic car, but does everything. It's like one good car that does everything you could want. And it's tempting to think about the Charger like that because it's my car. It's my dream car. It's what I always wanted. It would be kind of neat to build it that same way that he did that car. I love everything he did to that car. But I also really like the factory 383, and I like the column shifter, and I like just cruising, and it still does big smoky burnouts, and it's fun. So kind of is what it is. Ross says notchback CUDA set up like the green brick. I don't like the notchback CUDA. I just don't. I'd rather have a dart if I'm going to have a square, or a Valiant two-door is good too. I would do a dart, and I don't need to, I don't need to do the green brick again. It's been done. Although actually that setup I was just talking about, yeah, it's kind of similar to the green brick. Kimmy Trails is here and says, I've been digging my Dead Dodge Garage trucker cap and wearing it while working on my D300. Glad I got the black one because it's covered in grease after wiring the trailer electronic brake control module. Nice. I got the black and white, which was a mistake. I should have gotten the all black. Yeah, it's already dirty. If you saw the Volare video, you saw what happened to it. It's not greasy yet, but it's kind of gross. Stacy says, what about an overdrive behind the 383 or maybe a gear vendor's unit? Yes, that is a lot closer to my actual thinking on that car long term. Gear vendors would be cool. I'm strongly considering the Silver Sport A41 that we have in the convertible Cornet, 67 Cornet. That project's moving along quite a bit as well. It actually has a grill now. My coworker Trev put many hours into restoring that over the last 2 weeks, and it's looking really good. Pretty cool. But yeah, that A41 automatic. I don't want to do a stick conversion in that car. I just don't. I know it's kind of silly. I did it on the 66 Charger, mostly because I was tired of blowing up the 46RE. I don't want to stick swap my 68. If I put a Hemi in there, I might have to put a T56 in it. It'd be pretty cool. But I really don't want that. I want to stay automatic. So, yeah, I think the A41 setup would be one thought. A gear vendor is obviously another way to solve that problem. The thing is, I put 3 2s in the back. I almost put 2 7s in the back. I have a set of 2 7s. I would have put them in the car, but it had the wrong U-joint size. I took it out of a 72 C body, and it had the bigger U-joint, so couldn't get a conversion joint in time. And that right there would pretty much get me a better highway cruising ratio. And it would still probably do, just fine out of the hole. I took 430s out. 430s and put 3 2s in, and it still feels just fine off the line. So that was a good move. But yeah, an overdrive gear I think is what I really want. I love the 383. I'm still considering maybe doing fuel injection, but the Edelbrock on it's so good. It's so good how it is. Banana asks, does your 68 have a radio? Favorite music to blast while barreling through Washington? No, it actually doesn't. Well, kind of. It has a factory. Sorry, it's not factory. A factory style. It wasn't original to the car. It would have had an AM, I think. 8-track. It doesn't work. It has like a boat stereo head in the glove box. And it doesn't work because it was set up dumb. It was just bad. It was not put together in a good way. It was powered off of a battery in the trunk. Like, who the hell even does that? You had to hook up a battery in the trunk of the 68 Charger for the radio to come on. And it was all connected to an amplifier back there that was on a humongous subwoofer that was making my tires rub on the quarter panels. And then all of the speakers were run off of that amp. So I removed that, which killed that whole operation. Would have left it and wired it correctly, except the stereo is so old it doesn't do Bluetooth and it wouldn't USB with my iPhone. So I just said to hell with it. I want to put a compact Bluetooth in the glove box. I might put the amp back in. I might wire the speakers direct, not sure. Because I do cruise that car and I would like to have music at times. Currently, it has nothing. I was using a Bluetooth speaker on the dash for a bit. As far as favorite music, my music taste is interesting. I used to be all about classic rock, blues rock, that kind of stuff, and classic blues artists. now I'm mostly listening to like Americana type stuff or outlaw country. But also indie stuff, different things. What else was I listening to today? I don't even remember. But yeah, it varies by the day. I'm not a hip hop guy. I'm not a modern country. No, not at all. Definitely the more like folksy Americana, outlaw country, that sort of thing. But not what we call country today. Ugh. Wiggy says most professional musicians I know are not audiophiles. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I'm big on trying to make things sound good in here. And beyond that, I just don't care. Gary Burns is here and he says, I'm working on my golf this weekend. Interesting. Drinking Miller. Had 2 68 Chargers. Nice. I've got the one. Always wanted one. I've got the 168 Charger and I've got my 71 344 speed Demon. I'm the second owner of that. I have 2 Barracuda projects, 67 Fastback Barracuda and a 66, the big window car, and a bunch of trucks, 48 Power Wagon being the most important among them. Lovejoy. Tempted to Hemi swap my 64 Barracuda. Don't know if it'll fit. Well, I think I've seen it done. Steering's a problem. You might have to actually physically move the column. I know people are doing it in all kinds of A-bodies, newer A-bodies. I think even on those, you have to end up chopping the column and putting a bearing in to move it back. And I don't think you can run power brakes. Or if you can, you have to do something clever. Not totally sure there. It might fit. But modern Hemi is also an expensive and annoying swap. That's why I like the Magnum so much. It just fits. It just bolts in there. It's so easy. Okay, yeah, Dan. See, Dan's got the answer and says some guy is doing a stock K-frame 5.7 Hemi swap in a 65 Barracuda. I thought I'd seen it being done somewhere. Alt Praise said the same thing Wiggy said, which was a lot of pro musicians that I know don't use audiophile equipment. Yeah. No, I just don't, which is funny. I like music to sound nice. I love getting these studio monitors, which, mind you, I did in 2009, was huge for me because everything just sounds so crisp and nice. But outside of doing music production, I just don't care. It's only important to me here in the studio. Saw that. Jaybird is here and says, hey, everyone, late to the party. Was watching Thunderbolt and Lightfoot yet again. Man, I love that 73 Fury 3 in that movie. I haven't seen that one. Interesting. Ross says, isn't the Fifth Ave the same platform as the Dodge and Plymouth police packages of that era? I think so. But I don't know. All of those cars from that area are era. Same letters, at least. From that era are collectively referred to as FMJ bodies. F body being Volare Aspen, M being Diplomat, I think is M, J being, I don't know, the Chrysler. Not sure. They're all kind of the same nightmare. So, yeah. Oh, Dan reminds me there's that other freebie Volare nearby. Dan, you told me about it. You might have tried sending me a picture that didn't come through. I don't remember. If I need to go get it, get me the guy's info and I don't know, send me a picture or something. You know. They do tend to come in pairs. Barracudas, Darts, Vans, Cummins trucks, etc. So what's another Volare? Craig Loy says 69 Plymouth station wagon. Green with wood grain, 3-3 auto for the win. Sounds pretty good to me. I'm definitely partial to our 66 Coronet station wagon. That one is not green, thankfully. I'm not the green with woody guy, but I get it. Plain white, 440 automatic, and that is a fun car. Disc brake, sway bar, firm feel steering. Fun car. Kimmy Trail says, I love those old Fender Champs. Yeah, me too. Super neat. If you know classic rock, you know, or recording in general, you know, so many classic records were made with a tiny tube amp. You know, it sounds huge. Jimmy Page, of course, famous for that. I believe his amp, the amp that he made, cost a lot of money, is called a Thunderbolt, actually. It's kind of the way. And I've definitely found that to be the case with the Champ. It can sound huge. Super cool. Kimmy says, I've never built a tube amp. I did have a custom hand-wired octal Princeton Tweed built by Carl's Custom Amps. I've been playing with different tubes. Sounds killer. Nice. Very cool. I was just playing with different tubes in my Silvertone head, trying to get it to not sound bad. It just developed a hum. I was going to use it for the show yesterday. I fired it up in the morning to just kind of test it out. And it was fine for about 10 minutes. And then it just started humming. And if I smack it, it would stop. So then I started tapping tubes, and I thought I nailed it down to one of the 12, whatever, the little fellas, preamp tubes. But it wasn't that. Then I noticed I'm running one old black plate and one Fender 6L6. That ain't right. I don't know why I did that. Maybe one of those tubes, like, I don't know. Anyway, it's got mismatched power tubes. I guess I need to figure that out. Yeah. Eddie Van Halen never listened to music in his Mura. He liked the sound of the engine. I put a cassette player in one. I actually really like that there's an 8-track in the 68, and I'd like that to work. I love the sound of the 383. I've done the whole drive without music. But if I'm going to spend all that time on the highway, you know, eventually. The Demon has the factory AM radio. It does not work. I will not be rectifying that. My Cobra, of course, no radio. Had no radio, my Cobra that I sold. And I never would have changed that because, oh my God, side pipes? That was amazing. I saw a Cobra yesterday. I'm still in the Cobra group, replicas, you know. And I saw one yesterday that was beautiful. I really, really liked it. It was this cool red color. But it had this humongous, like, 10-inch touchscreen stereo in it. In a Shelby Cobra replica. Why? They're not even supposed to have a heater. Like, why? For Christ's sake. Yeah. No, so that's where I'm at. Like, you know, certain cars, it makes sense. And my Charger, again, because it's a highway cruiser, it makes sense. But actual enthusiasts screw-around cars, they don't need radios. Lovejoy, I'm probably better off with a Magnum if I can get it under the hood. Yeah, you are. It's just going to fit better. Dan has done this. He put a Magnum intake on the small block under the hood of his Barracuda, and it fit. 66, I think his is. I could be wrong. Maybe 64. Anyway, first-gen Barracuda. So I think you're going to be okay. I just don't know about air cleaner clearance. You're better off with the Magnum because it's so much cheaper, so much easier, so much more straightforward, and that's why I love it so much. And if you want to make the factory EFI system work, it's so easy. You generally can't do that with a Hemi. You kind of go buy a standalone system because it's just a pain in the ass. They have key security and all that. So, yeah, the Magnum, by far cheaper and easier. So, if you like cheap and easy, Magnum. Yeah, you can make a bunch more power with a Hemi, but the Magnum makes plenty. Jaybird asks, curious if the music in your vids of late are your own creations. Yes. In fact, the music I've been using in the last handful of videos, I recorded in here before lives on 2 Sundays about a month ago or a month and a half, something like that. Yes, any music that you hear, I made in the studio. I played all the instruments, including drums and Rhodes piano, which you can almost see over there. I play all the instruments, write it, record it, mix it, master it. All me. There are some tracks I used in earlier videos that were also me, various tracks either that I'd produced for my solo stuff, or I actually used some live jams with my current band. I might have even used some Whitewood Funk songs. That was my old band. But yeah, anyway, any music you hear, either I made it completely by myself or I made it with other people. I have not ever used anyone else's music for the channel, and I don't think I will. Banana says, I do like the Diplomat. I'd kill for an M-body. Interesting. I can't say I don't like it. Well, let's just say those aren't my favorites. I much prefer the A-body. The A-body's home for me, but those newer cars are cheaper. So there's a lot to be said for that. Stacy says, Turnpike Troubadours, Sturgill Simpson, and Old Crow Medicine Show are about all I've been listening to lately. I was on a huge Old Crow kick for quite a while there. My old partner that moved back to Utah, he was also an Old Crow guy, and he's what turned me on to them. I turned him on to some other weird shit. I don't even remember. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, was super big into Old Crow for a while there. Kind of burned it out. And that's what I do. I like pick an artist or an album, and then I just listen to it again and again and again ad nauseum. Then I get to the point that I never want to listen to it again. Sturgill Simpson is one I haven't. I know he's in the same group as a lot of the ones I've been listening to. I listened to Tyler Childers today. Willie Watson, who was in Old Crow, is in Old Crow. I assume he still is, but he did his solo stuff too. He's got a couple albums at least. Willie Watson, he's really good. He did a version of Gallows Pole that was fantastic, solo acoustic. He did a version of Mother Earth, which is like an old standby. Really good. So now I do a version of his version of Mother Earth. I really, really like that. Who else is in that group? Ian Noe, N-O-E. Ian Noe is another kind of Americana country-ish artist that I really like. His album Between the Country, like every single song on that is pure gold. I'm trying to remember the one that turned me on to that album. The YouTube algorithm just picks things. Sometimes they are bad, but sometimes they're really good. And Ian Noe was one of those. I can't remember which song it was that I heard first. But anyway, yeah. Turnpike Troubadours might have come up on mine once. I can't remember. Gary Burns says, I'm so jealous of your 68. Both of mine have the classic rear window rest, at least here in South Louisiana. Yeah, mine's got it too, and I've showed that on video. I am the first person to tell you that my car is not perfect. It's not as good as it looks on camera. It's got the rear window rest started. It's got bubbles. It's not holes yet, but it's got bubbles. It's got bubbles over the left wheel well at the very top, leading edge, rear edge. There are repairs that you can see that just weren't that great. It was billed to me before I ever saw it. I agreed to buy it before I saw it in person. I didn't hand over money until I saw it in person, but I had agreed to buy it. And I drove a long way to get it, so I was taking it home one way or the other. But it was billed to me as a 3-owner car that had been repainted in the early 2000s. And what I think it is an I don't know how many owner car that was repainted like a year or two ago, and the bodywork underneath isn't. Yeah, it's not total like hack job terrible. Like it's okay, but they just didn't do that great a job on the bodywork. Like there's hail damage on the sail panel and the entire right fender, whole top of it. And it doesn't look like elbow marks. It's the entire top of the panel looks like hail damage or rocks or something. So anyway, they didn't bother fixing that. So yeah, it's not an amazing car. It's a friggin' awesome car, and it's one that I can enjoy. And I can't be responsible for the care and feeding of like a show quality vehicle. So I'm really glad that it's not any better than it is. That's pretty freeing. Not afraid to drive it. It is fully insured. But yeah, it is very cool. It's just not perfect. And I'll be the first one to tell you that. Oh yeah, Rooster's Project cars. The 72 Roadrunner, blown 440 Coronet, and blown 426 Hemi, 70 Charger. All have parts on back order. Yeah. Why do they sell you parts online at year one in Mancini and then they don't show up? I can't tell you. Yes. Dan talking about the Barracuda on his list for last week before, winter came back, second winter in Washington. Might need to relieve the hood's framing near the center. Yeah, I want to, you send me pictures of whatever you do have to end up doing, Dan, because I need to know this. It's very important. Rooster says, so now while he's waiting for parts, I'm trying to get Grandpa's Farmall H unstuck. No luck on that either. All I'll say is good luck. Our Hill says, I have the standard Bluetooth stereo from the factory in my 2014 Challenger. I have not used it very much. Rather hear my straight pipes. Nice. That's cool. To me, if I had the 14 Challenger, I'd want it to sound good, but I wouldn't want straight pipes. It's too much of a Mustang thing for me. Every car I hear go by that's, loud, roaring V8, it's always a Mustang. If I had a 2014 Challenger, I think I'd just have I'd leave the exhaust alone so it's drivable, cruisable, enjoyable. And I actually made a video about this. The Challenger I wanted, and I could have bought but didn't, was a 2015 V6, 300 horsepower, decent fuel economy, and comfy inside with the newer dash. I think 2015 is the first year for that. And not all of them have the big fancy touch screen, but that's the one I would want. I think 2014, you're still the last year of the 70 style grill, right? I don't remember. I could be wrong. But anyway, that's the one I want. I have old muscle cars to be loud and annoying. Anyway, but that's cool. Ross says, when I had the 4x4 440 crew cab, never had a radio. Turned out pipes and Jersey barriers. Heaven. Yeah, the Jersey barriers, the Demon. I look forward to those with the Demon because it's got the sweet sound of Flowmaster or whatever they are. The Cobra Jersey barriers were bad. Straight pipe turned out 90 degrees. Bad. It sounded great away from them. Lovejoy says, my donor truck's still in limbo. Dad got a new truck, but he still hasn't given me the Ram back. Damn it, Dad. You'll get there. Dan says, didn't have that plastic thing for on top of the throttle body that connects to air filter box hose. Dan, what I used, you're probably talking about the Ram truck one, the box thing. That sucks. The one I used was from a Durango. And the one thing I didn't like about it, so it was shorter. It was only about yay tall. It was kind of angled up at the rear, but it fit under the hood of my 66 Charger fine. Again, I don't know if it's going to fit under yours. That's probably what you're talking about. Yeah, you wouldn't fit the Ram one. The Ram one's way too tall. The other one you could do, the cold air kits. I installed one of these on an 01 Ram once. In fact, I have one. Now that I think about it, I have one of those complete cold air kits in my storage unit. It's awesome. Anyway, they have a hat. Maybe you've seen it. They're pretty flat, and they aren't angled up like the Durango piece. They're just flat. And that might be the shortest thing you could find to put on there. So. Oh, yeah, Stacy. Yeah, dead south. Yeah. We had a long dead south kick at the shop as well. I like their more depressing ones. It's not that I didn't like In Hell I'll Be in Good Company. I do. Their poppier ones like that get into this sort of cheesy thing that I'm not about. I don't really like that. I like my music to take itself extremely seriously, if that makes any sense. But I like a lot of Dead South stuff. Recap, that's a good one. The Recap. What else? There's another one of theirs that I really, really like. I've listened to 1,000 times. Yeah, I can't remember what it is now. But yeah, I like them for sure. Like I say a bit of it's a little cheesy for me, but I'm definitely a fan. I like my music generally to be very depressing. Evan agrees that they're great. I just can't remember what that one song I really, really like is. No, that's going to annoy me. Let's see. See if my phone remembers. Oh, Broken Cowboy. Yeah, Broken Cowboy. Again, aggressively depressing. 'Cause I don't feel right no more. Anyway. Ross says, last new music I bought was Corb One's Agricultural Tragic. Okay, I saw that pop up on the YouTube music, and I haven't listened to that one yet either. Agricultural Tragic. That reminds me of, who is it that has an album called Imaginary Appalachia? Is that Coulter Wall? Is that Coulter? Is that the name of his album? Coulter Wall is another one that I really, really like. Bald Butte. Listen to that today. Dan needed a junkyard run, but the snow and ice said no. Yeah. Banana says, I caught the M-body bug from Breaking Bad. Yeah, Mike drives to Fifth Avenue. Yeah. And from a film from 1990. You know I'm from 1990? Called Short Time. The car chase at the end features a 77 Bonneville and an 87 Grand Fury. Interesting. I've never heard of that. Yeah, the ultimate couch on wheels. Yeah, they have those cushy seats. I will say, this is going to sound really silly. I once test drove a 2006 BMW, and that was as comfy as a couch on wheels, and it would do any corner you wanted at 80 miles an hour. And I almost bought it. Glad I didn't. Stacy says, Corb Lund is from the same town here in Alberta that I am. Known him my whole life. His dad and mine played hockey together for years. Wow. So apparently, roughly in your area there's a lot of what I call Americana going on. That's very interesting. Greg says, be careful bashing Mustangs. Why? Because they bash back? I've had a couple, SN95s, and I kind of like them. We were talking about that last week. Yeah, it's always those newer, 2000s Mustangs with straight pipes. And my friend Dave has one, and he's actually done a lot of actual hot rodding on it. But that's one of the ones around town that's like you can hear him from a long way away. And it just has that tone. That howling, straight-piped Mustang tone. Banana says, there's just something about the full-on boxiness of the M-bodies that I'm in love with, even though they were crap then and now. Anyway, you planning on getting any more Mohazera Mopars? I don't know. Dan keeps tempting me with another free Volare. I don't want any of them, but if they fall in my lap, yeah, maybe. I'm really into cheap. It's funny. I've been seeing a lot of my Facebook memories come up and just reminding me of things that I've done that I don't even remember. Like I just saw a memory 2 days ago. I had a pile of small block engines in my old home garage. So many A-bodies have come and gone. I've had multiple cars that I had like 5 engines in. My 70 Dart, my 73 Dart, my 66 Charger. I used to just swap engines all the time. In my 70 Swinger, I swapped engines so often I never had to change the oil. Does that make sense? Anyway, I've played with so many cars over the years, and I'll probably get many more. But I prefer A-bodies. They just cost way more now. They used to be almost free. It's a real bummer. Jaybird, been trying to figure out why I don't have any heat in my 66 Power Wagon. Blower works great, defrost, etc., but cold. The vent works, but my H push-pull does nothing. Any ideas? Yes. Your H push-pull should go to a heater valve. And swept line body. Well, it should be under the hood over on the passenger side, I think. But now I'm thinking about that. I don't know if they have the heater control valve outside or if maybe it's under the dash, but that push-pull goes to a water valve somewhere. The trucks didn't have like the temperature door, which is what cars have. They have a water valve. I'm fairly certain that that's what you're going to have. I mean, the 70s trucks all have the same thing, heater control valve out under the hood. And your push-pull is a cable that goes out and closes that or opens it. Excuse me. So I think your cable and your valve are all seized up. Go find the valve. What you can do is pop the cable off and just open the valve, and then you have heat. And then when summer finally comes, you go out there and you close it. I have had multiple trucks that's how they were. Our Coronet wagon, they do have a blend door in the heater box instead of a valve. And the temperature cable to that is screwed up. It's been screwed up for like a decade. And in the summer, I just go up under the dash and close the heat door. Our Hill says, yes, it is the last year of that grill. Yep, that's what I thought. Also, it's a stick, and I know how to drive it quiet. I live in the country, and my neighbors don't hate me. Yeah, cool. I remember now. Yeah, I knew it was a stick. Yeah, you just stay out of the revs. When you say straight pipe, I'm guessing you probably still have cats. Oh, I'm getting a weird wireless warning. Hopefully you guys can see me. Yeah. XLMI says, what's the plan with the blue and white Dodge truck with the broken crank? The overwhelming consensus, and this really, really surprised me because I know so many people want to see me swap a Magnum into something and wire it. In fact, I've gotten a bunch more comments asking for that in just the last week alone, but on my older Magnum videos. I really thought everybody was going to say, put the Magnum in it, do the EFI. But almost everyone, the overwhelming majority of comments on that video said, put the stock 40 over 318 in it. Put that in there, put it back to stock, make it what it's supposed to be. So that's what I'm going to do. I bought a complete engine gasket kit. I bought a new clutch. I'm going to resurface the flywheel, I think. It didn't look too bad, but the clutch was shot, which explains why I couldn't get the clutch adjustment right. There's just nothing left there. It didn't slip. When I had it, it didn't slip, but it wasn't right. So anyway, I have a freshly rebuilt 40 over 318 bottom end, and it's kind of a weird deal. I bought that out of the junkyard. It had Magnum heads on it, and it had the roller lifters in it, but they were on a normal flat tappet crank, and they had like rigged up springs to hold the lifters straight. It was the weirdest thing. Like, clearly drugs were a factor. And they had Magnum heads on it. So I took those off. Actually, just yesterday, gave those to my old partner, Jordan, with some other Magnum stuff. And I'm going to use the heads off the engine that came out of that truck, slap them on there, and call it a day. If I still had a set of 302 heads sitting around here, I'd use those. But I gave those to Jordan too. So I'm just going to use the stock 318 heads. I'm not going to use the valve covers. I'm going to save those MT valve covers. Something else needs those. So I'll probably just put stock steel on it. And I might try to put a stock intake on it. Like, I don't have a good 2-barrel here, but maybe I could scare one up. I want to save the good parts for other projects, basically, because I don't see the point of putting it back on there. It's a truck. But yeah, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to put that 40 over 318 in it, make it happy again. I'd really like to do new exhaust. I may build my own new exhaust like I did on the gold truck, because that turned out pretty nice. and then use it for truck stuff, I guess. I had this crazy vision the other day. I looked at that truck and I realized I should put the car trailer behind it with the Demon on it and go to the racetrack like that. That would be awesome. So that may be coming this summer. Maybe not. I still want to build a ramp truck. But I really need a long bed for dump runs. I would prefer a dump bed. I'd like to be using my power wagon for that, but it's not done yet. It's nowhere near done. So, yeah, I'll probably put the blue and white truck to work for a while, and then I'll probably get bored of it and sell it. Oh, my sister says Dead South did a great cover of People Are Strange. Yes, they did. It is quite good. Ross says Cobra's too low. Dude, yeah, in the Cobra replica, I think I measured and my butt was 10 inches off the ground. Maybe it was a foot off the ground, you know. Anyway, I once got pulled over by a cop. Exhaust tip was at cop car ear level. I showed him the brand new 2.5 inch with turbos exhaust. He shook his head and walked off. Wow. It's so funny. I have never been bothered about exhaust here. Never, not once. And I always thought that Cobra would be the car. But the thing is, you see it and you expect it to sound like that. I mean, it's that's just what it is. I used to have a slant six Dart that I drove everywhere with the muffler cut off with a Sawzall. Never got bugged about that. There are so many stupid straight pipe Hondas around here and glass back Hondas and pop tunes that sound like gunshots going off in the distance just all the time. There are so many other idiots that I've always flown under the radar on that kind of stuff. So feel pretty lucky about that. Oh, Kimmy Trails. Yeah, the D300. I totally forgot what your handle was. It's all making sense now. Thoughts, recommendations on oversized transmission cooler for the Dodge D300. Go to O'Reilly and tell them you want the biggest one they sell. Done. I know you're going to tow a big trailer, so you definitely do want that. You could plumb just to that big transmission cooler. Most places that I've seen, they want you to run it through the radiator and then through that separate cooler. I've seen it both ways. So, but yeah, they sell a big one at O'Reilly. They usually stock it. And, well, it used to be $60, but everything's more now. So, yeah. Stacy says, oh, yeah, this is what Stacy did. Just go with the most hated Mustang of all time like I did. And people just laugh at you. Definitely no chance of taking out a crowd at a show. Yeah, it's not the right kind of Mustang. Oh, Ross says, cross-Canadian ragweed. Those Oklahoma boys roll. Cross-Canadian ragweed. Eric says, the M-Body Chrysler LeBaron two-door coupes are a really cool-looking body style. I've never seen one. No, I'm looking it up. Oh, yeah, that's just like that awful pink thing Roadkill did. Is it called Murata? Whatever it is. Anyway, yeah, same kind of unit. It's not my thing, but yeah, I can see it. I'm not into that square late 70s, 80s roof. I'm just, especially with the goofy back windows. It's like all cars had that same roof, and then they just played with the back window shape to make it different. I was just looking at the brochure for the 1976 or 78. 76, I think, Dodge Charger. There are 4 different versions. And all they did was change the back window. There's a hardtop. Then there's a small window. Then there's a small window with louvers. And then there's a version of the hardtop with louvers. 4 different, distinct models of Charger. Oh, and also some of them had the Cordoba front end, and some of them had the more square Plymouth-looking front end. The cheaper ones did. stuff, it had all gone wrong by then. Everything was just bad. Anyway, I will concede, Eric, that those kinds of cars are looking better and better as time goes on. It's kind of like the whole, well, now Fox body Mustangs are expensive, but you can go get a Fairmont or whatever else that's also on the Fox platform. That's just a box, a boring box, and you can do all the same stuff to it. It's kind of like that. Like now that the A bodies and the B bodies are all like unbuyable. Yeah, those are looking pretty good. Kind of same as the Volare. It's cheap fun. That's the way I look at it. I look at it as a platform that you could do cool stuff with, and you could maybe afford to buy one. I also never see those around, though. So it's sort of like they didn't make a gazillion of them, or a gazillion of them didn't survive the 80s. So I don't know. It's not my thing. Banana says, my dad had a 78 LeBaron, and he keeps making me jealous with the pictures he has of it. It's interesting. Much like C-bodies, when I first started this channel, a lot of people seem to love these cars, and that surprises me. Because they're not the traditional, Mopar muscle car. It's something different. They're kind of late to the party. I really like to say the party was over, and the party was pretty much over after the early 70s. I've just never gotten into those cars. So, given my age, I should be into like Hondas and Toyotas and stuff, and I'm not. I'm really into the muscle era Mopars and their contemporaries, but I've just never really gotten into that later stuff. Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, our Hills Challenger still has cats, but no mufflers. Yeah, so it's not god awful. It's just not quiet. Cats do a lot. Yeah, Lovejoy, you were literally who I was talking about when I said that. Do the Magnum video, if only to make my life easier. Something realistic that I may do, I wanted to do the whole swap, put the Magnum in and then wire it and make it work. But I have the van with the Magnum in it already, and it needs a rewire. And so what I may do is go get another wiring kit and do the wiring important, this is how you make it work guide with that. The engine's already in there. I've already done videos explaining the differences, the videos explaining what you need to do. And it's so straightforward. It's the same almost as taking an LA out and putting another one back in. So the important part is how to wire it, how to make it work. So I will probably do that with that van. And then you'll have a wiring guide. But I don't know when. Our Hill says, even here in Georgia, I have to get certed every year. Huh. Yeah, so you have to have the cats. Do you have to, I bet you have to throw your mufflers back in to go do that. And then take them back out? Just curious. I bet you do. Or you're still not legal. Dan says, I made up an ugly plumbing store bypass for the water valve for all my older trucks. Interesting. I just leave it alone. Replace it if it leaks. Joe's Mopar Mess. I'm restoring a 66 Charger. I pulled the driver's seat, and underneath it was a 6-wire plug, unplugged, with no obvious place it connects to. Any ideas? Do you have a center console? You should have a center console. Pretty sure all 66s do. This B-body center console connector is a 6-wire plug. I don't remember having another 6-pin connector under my seat in the 66. I think it's just the console one. In other B-bodies, I think the console connector actually comes from the front, but maybe it does come that way. Yeah, I'm not totally sure on that. Do you have a center console? It's not at all uncommon to have unused option connectors in all kinds of vehicles. To this day, you'll have unused connectors that just weren't used because you didn't have whatever that connected to. And Lovejoy has an interesting, on that point, Lovejoy says, do you have power seats? Now, I will say this. I don't think there's a provision for power seats or power windows in the standard harness. There just isn't. It's an extra layover harness that runs up to the fuse box. It's an isolated piece. So I know I just said it's not uncommon to see option connectors, but in those B bodies, they don't have that. And similarly, non-AC cars, there's nothing just sitting there that would have plugged into AC. That is not there. It's an extra add-on layover harness. That's what the factory called it. So I think power seat, same as that, would just be an extra wire that ran up to the fuse panel, and there wouldn't be anything sitting there. I think the only 6-pin there would be is for a console. And okay, and he has a console. And your console's plugged in? Because again, I think that's the only thing you'd have a 6-wire for. Unless it doesn't belong there. You know, maybe it's not factory. I'm assuming it looks like a factory style connector. I have the carpet out of my 66 a couple times, and I do not remember an extra unused 6-pin. It's a 6-pin that goes to the taillights, rear of the car harness. That's in the kick panel, of course. You'd know if that wasn't plugged in because you wouldn't have any lights or gas gauge. There's the one that goes to the console, and I'm drawing a blank on any other 6-pin that you would have there. If you want, you can send me a picture of it. Jamie Noise, Jamienoise @gmail.com, and I'll take a look. I might be able to tell you, hey, that just doesn't belong there. But yeah, that's interesting stuff. Lovejoy says B-bodies are weird. It's common to really all Mopars from that time. I was recently looking at, the factory assembly guide, which is super cool. I showed that off in, I think it was the last video I did on the 67 Coronet convertible. Or maybe it was, no, it was the one before that, because I think it was the one before I actually drove it on video. Anyway, maybe it was the second Coronet video. But I showed that assembly guide, and it is so cool. It has factory diagrams for spot weld locations. It has diagrams and instructions for every version of that car, every version of the wiring. It tells you things like a manual car, the reverse wires are over here, reverse switch wires are over here. On an automatic car, they go this way. And then there's an extra wire tied into the key switch harness here. It gets spot taped here. It gets this here. It should have this clip here. The battery cable gets connected to the lighting harness here. In this location and this location, it goes through this clip, but not this clip and this piece of tape. It's crazy. It's amazing. But in that book, it shows you all those different variations, and it says layover harness for this option on this. If you have this, you have this harness, and it goes this way, and this wire gets clipped out and rerouted this way, and that's just how they did it then. It's crazy. There's a lot of little interesting things, and I never realized that. But anyway, all Mopars are kind of weird. Smoke Wrench Garage. I've been doing pretty well. There's almost half of this left. Smoke Wrench Garage is here and says, sup, DDG. Sup, SWG. You know, I never planned to shorten Dead Dodge Garage to DDG, but people just started doing it in the comments, so I took it and ran with it. You know, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to be VGG or UTG, but people just did it, so I guess that's the thing. Oh, Smoke Wrench Garage, you're a little late. Guys, I'm going to be here for another 10 minutes. I will try to get through all of the comments I haven't responded to, which is about 15 or 20. Did pretty well tonight. Didn't get too far behind. I do see we've got 38 of you still hanging out there, hanging in there, hanging out with me here. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Glad to have you here. I really do look forward to this all week, every week. So I appreciate you making my Sundays fun. Ross says, we routinely ran 5.0s without mufflers. They would blow the stocks off, usually at 5,000 RPM, 3 to 4th gear shifts. Never got stopped. Very cool. Craig says, trucks are supposed to be powerful. It makes them more useful. Trucks are supposed to have torque. And gearing solves the lack of horsepower. Kind of. Trucks are supposed to be able to haul stuff. They can do that with slant sixes. I've seen a D5 or 600 water tanker with a slant six and I think a 4-speed and maybe a 2-speed rear end. So anyway, the way you solve a lack of power, gearing. Just ask my 1948 Dodge Power Wagon. I think it's 108 horsepower, 530 gears. Eric says Murata is an F body. I don't know. I just know it looks like that other one I just looked up. It's very similar. And says, I think the Fairmonts are even lighter. Interesting. Also, 5,800-ish RPM. Oh, yeah. And on the shift, the 3-4 shift. Nice. Yeah, I think Fairmonts are lighter, which is cool. And again, they're basically muscle car is the wrong word, but they're on that same platform. Everything you can do to the Fox Mustang, you can do to that. That's pretty cool. Banana says, as much as I like late 70s, 80s cars, most of them were shells of their shells. I'm going to make up for it now. Shells of their former selves. That's like saying Marcel the Shell with shoes on. I saw a reference to Marcel the Shell with shoes on today, and I was really excited about that. Anyway, I know they made a movie. They were shells of their former selves after about 73. If only the oil embargo had never happened. Well, that's definitely part of it. But even before that, attitudes changed. Culture as a whole just kind of I was talking to Trev about this the other day, and he said it was just a weird time. No one knew what was going on. No one knew what to do. Trends changed. Styles changed. Emission standards came in. Insurance came in. All of those things were already contributing to the demise of horsepower. So then the car companies were going, well, we can't go horsepower. So what are we going to do? I guess we're going to go personal luxury. At the same time, the styling was just getting weird. It just got boxy and boring. And that was the thing for 15 years. Just a weird time. The oil embargo was definitely a factor in ushering in imports in greater and greater numbers and just kind of helped to screw up the market. But it was already pretty screwed up. So anyway, yeah. Like I said, the party was over. 71 was the last year of high compression performance engines, basically across the board. Compression dropped, emissions happened, carburetors got crappier, cats showed up on the scene, it's so funny. They lowered compression and they actually did things in the interest of emissions that made the cars less efficient, that made them run worse. Anyway, if only the 70s hadn't happened. Eric says, yeah, cheap is pretty much what I have to do. That's all right, though. I like it. I know I sometimes look like a rich person because I own a 68 Charger, but I'm not. And everything I do is on a budget. I try to use, as my brother says, crappy used parts out of the garbage can as much as possible. That's what I like. It's what I like. That's where the fun is. And I take a lot of influence from Uncle Tony in that regard. That's where the fun is. Making cheap or free garbage work. It's cool. So I am not going to belittle anyone for not wanting to spend money on cars, car parts, etc. I'm a lot more about having fun. I am having a lot of fun putting together a Hemi Swap Challenger with high dollar parts. That's cool. It's cool. I'm excited about it. I'm having a lot of fun putting together a 451 stroker that has 10 grand in it. That's awesome. I've never even touched rods and pistons like that. Like, that's great. None of that's my stuff. None of that is in my world. And cheap is what I'm about. I had more fun with that $300 Volare than I've had with anything in a long time. And it took me right back to age 17 when I had 3A bodies. And they were all $300. And things were fun. I like fun. I like cheap. Stacy's already out of here, like 12 minutes ago, actually. So I hope you have a good week, Stacy, and we'll see you later. Oh, yeah. Multiple people wanted to be on here and chat with me, and I've been thinking about that more. I listened to a different live stream recently where they actually took calls, and someone told me I should get a burner phone that people can call. I'm thinking about doing that. I think it would be hilarious. Technologically, it might be challenging to do well, but I think it would be fun. Lovejoy says, I may have to suffer through it, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for science. Yeah, all good. All right, guys, I just got a few minutes here. I see most of the regulars are peacing out. They know what time things are over. Dan says, good night, all. Our Hill says the same. Thanks for the fun. You bet, Our Hill. We'll see you next week, I imagine. Banana says, it's funny how cars like that are becoming cool again. I really don't know why I like them. I don't either. Our Hill says they don't look for his mufflers. That's cool. It's the same reason 73 and 4 Chargers and Darts and Dusters are looking good now. Those used to be the ones people would throw away. For late, ugly grills, ugly taillights, ugly bodies. No, they're cool. It's the same sort of thing. As time marches on, we look back and we say, you know what, that wasn't so bad. And it's probably only going to get worse as cars go electric. Everyone's going to be yearning for an age they didn't live through, like me, But yeah, anyway, it is funny. It's interesting. Banner also says, I never grew up with late C bodies or M bodies. They're just so different from new cars that I really like them. Yep. They still have that old car spirit. The styling is not what it was in the muscle era. It's not what it was in the 50s. It's just not what it was. It's boxy. It's kind of boring. It's funky, and it's kind of ugly. But they still have that old car spirit and that old car simplicity for the most part. Eric says, I put a 69 383 big block in a 79 LeBaron two-door coupe one time, put an 8 1/4 sure grip in the back, cup car axle with leaf springs, and it ran really good. Yeah, I'm sure it did. Joe's Mopar says, yes, it's definitely factory looking. It tees off the wires running to the back. Probably the console just didn't see a matching connection. Wiring is a mess, hence the name. Okay, I'm guessing that is your console connector. For some reason, I thought it came from the front, but maybe it does come from under the seat. You should have one. You should have one. And I missed Kimmy's comment. Thank you. Yeah, no, I did. I totally did because I jumped to the seat thing. Thank you. Thank you for policing me on that. I need somebody to do it. Anyway, yeah, Kimmy Trail said, many years ago, I picked up a Diplomat with the Super 6 Carter 2-barrel with 30,000 original miles. I yanked the motor and paid $20 to have the carcass hauled away. Yeah. Is that one of the Super 6 setups you still have that you were teasing me with recently? Nice. Oh, Joe's Mopar Mess's son says hi. Hello, Joe's son. And it's pretty much time to sign off, so I hope you have a good evening. Craig Boy says, oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Torque is power. Big time. Dan says, first-gen cats were a 5-pound baked potato slammed up the tailpipe of 70s cars. Yeah, totally different thing. Banana says, my M-Buddy gushing is over, and I'll be heading off. Had a good week with all the mail trucks. Have a good week. Well, luckily, I don't have to touch them again until probably Friday. But you have a good week yourself, and we'll catch up later. Eric says, my favorite guitar right now I got from the transfer station when I was in jail on work crew. Really? That's amazing. Noah's out of here, so is Lovejoy. Everybody's out. Noah wants to know, can we watch one of your shows if we show up in Aberdeen? Yes, you can. You're on my regular friends list, right? I usually announce there if I'm playing shows. I don't do many of them very often. But yeah, sure. Try to keep you posted. Sometimes Tiff, who I'm playing with now, tags me when shows are coming out, so that helps. Rooster says, Jamie's cheap and easy and likes dumpster diving. What a fun date. I know. Greg's out of here as well. Good night, Greg. Thanks for being here. Rooster says, ugly cars are cute when prices for the sexy ones go nuts. That's exactly it. All right, good night, everybody. Hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next Sunday. Cheers. Meh. Good night, everybody. Oh, also, whee! Seacrest out. See you, folks.